bunnies, welcome back to Casey's Space to Talk Books. I recently ordered some new books which I'm very excited to share with you all. Some of them have arrived and I'm still waiting on a few to come in the mail, but I'll just film another clip when those do arrive. But I'm just so eager to talk about this stack here that I don't want to wait until they all arrive for me to discuss them with you all, so let's get into it. Beginning with this first book, in which is A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. This is the third installment in the Dark Shade of Magic series, and this is on my 24 in 2024 TBR. So if you don't know, a lot of my goal this year is surrounding finishing series, getting to sequels, because I am so bad at just starting the first book and then not progressing with them whatsoever. So I'm really wanting to get to this series. I haven't read any of it, but I own the first two books, so I needed this one to complete my collection, and I'm very excited to read it very soon. I got all of my books secondhand from World of Books, so some of them are a bit scratched and dented, but I don't mind at all. I'm giving them a new home to be loved. So next up we have Acts of Desperation, in which I've heard so many good things. If you don't know, I am adoring this year weird lit fic, and I'm just absolutely loving it. I recently read ᴍᴇ괱괱ᴜ, adored it and devoured it, and it was just so weird, so obscure and so strange, and I just love the sort of magical realism aspect that this weird lit fic books give me, and these kind of vibes that they bring in. So yeah, I don't know much about my books plot wise. I don't ever really like to know much about them. I just like to know the tropes and the themes that are included in them, sort of how I describe my books really, just to kind of get a feel for what they're about, and then I dive in, so then I don't get spoiled for what's to come or the excitement of the read in general. But yes, heard very good things about this one, seen it on a lot of recommendations lists for weird lit fic, and very excited to pick it up myself. I have a book I have read and listened to in audio. I spoke about this in my March wrap up, and this is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Quite often when I listen to a book via audio or when I read it on my Kindle, if I really did enjoy the book and I feel like I'm going to reread it in the future, I do buy a physical copy so I can have it on my shelves. And this one is one in which I am going to want to reread, because especially in autumn, it has all of the autumnal vibes. And if you don't know, if you're new to the channel, I absolutely adore autumn and autumnal colours, etc, and so I really wanted this one in my collection. Next up we have a book that's been on my wish list for quite a while, and that is No One Is Talking About This. Now this is on my wish list because I have been keeping an eye out for the Women's Prize for a lot of years now, and because I saw this one shortlisted, I was so intrigued. I think it was last year, 2021, it was shortlisted, and it also won the Booker Prize. Oh no, sorry, it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize, and I don't ever really immerse myself in those book prizes, although I would love to, but that's because I always have so much on my TBR. I think a goal for next year will be very much in the book prizes, but I've been focusing much more on backlists and books that I own this year more so than new books, she says while doing a book haul. But yeah, I wanted to read this one because it has so many interesting themes that I really want to endeavour onto, and yeah, it just sounds fun and it's short, and I'm just hoping it'll be a really good time. So we have The Catch by Amy Lee, author of X's and O's and Set on You, and I read Set on You and absolutely loved it. I'm still yet to get to X's and O's, but this one has been quite popular, and I am always in the mood for a rom-com, something light, something fun-hearted, just as a palate cleanser. I tend to head to these kind of books when I am feeling quite overwhelmed and kind of just get immersed into their world and their storytelling. Although I have said this previously, I do find romances just follow the same template, same script, but just the themes and how they actually go about this and the characters they include is what makes it unique. So yes, very excited for this one. Next up, because I loved Latveria so much by ᴍᴇ괱ᴜ, and I read My Year in Rest and Relaxation and did quite like that one too, I decided to pick up Eileen by ᴍᴇ괱ᴜ. Again, don't know much about this apart from its weird lit fic, and I adored the other two books by this author, so very excited to get to this one. I feel like that word is going to be so used. There's only so many adjectives I can use in this video because I obviously can't really talk much about the books themselves, having not read them, but this is just mainly to share my excitement with you, and also just kind of get a glimpse if you've read any of these, which ones you recommend reading first, and kind of promote books to you that perhaps they're quite backlisted so you may not have heard of. So yeah, Eileen, very excited to read this one. I have no idea when it was released. I think it's quite a backlisted book. This is one in which is quite dented and it looks kind of well loved, but hopefully it will find a loving home here. Then we have another book in which I read via audio, in which is House of Hollow. Again, spoke about this in my March wrap up. Enjoyed it. Was great. Very weird, magical realism, horror elements to do with flowers and fungi and plants, and I definitely recommend this one, especially via audio, because I found it very much more enriching and encapsulating, and it just set the scene and the eeriness in my head. But yes, wanted this one on my shelves to do a reread in the future, and very excited to have had it. Final two books in which I have to show you in this little section. I will have more coming in my next clip. First of all is Love Redesigned. Again, one that I read on my Kindle, and I filmed a video of reading books on my Kindle. This is why I'm trying to get back into using my Kindle, and I am, not to promote Amazon, but absolutely loving the Kindle Unlimited function. I just feel like it exposes me to so many different authors, so many new things, and I'm currently doing the trial. I'm not 100% sure whether I'm going to continue on with it or not, but yes, this was one of the authors, Lauren Asher, in which I had read the Fine Print series. I think it's the Billionaire series or something like that, and wanted to read something more from her, and so picked up this one. I do believe this is part of a series as well, but it was a lot of fun. Again, very much like I mentioned about The Catch, light-hearted, has this kind of overarching template of this rom-com romance, but with these themes encapsulated in there, fun characters, and just overall a great time. It looks really, really huge, but on Kindle I find I just fly through books. I'm not quite sure if it's because I'm not physically turning the pages and can see how long I've got left, or whether I just get so much more immersed because I tend to only really read Kindle Unlimited books which are more romance-based, so I find they flow a lot quicker for me. But yes, I definitely recommend this one if you haven't yet read it. Then the last book I have to show you for the time being is Love in Colour, and again, heard so many good things about this one. I absolutely adored You Made a Fall of Death with Your Beauty, and I've heard this one recommended if you do really like that one. I gave that book 5 stars. It was one of my favourite books either last year or the year before, I can't quite remember now, and I regularly think about that book, and I have seen this one around a lot recently when I've been searching up for recommendations for You Made a Fall of Death with Your Beauty. So I'm intrigued, I'm excited, and I cannot wait to dive into this one very much like the rest of these. That was my first little section of the haul. I will see you in a little bit when I have the next few books. I've just got some more packages in the mail, so I'm going to open them with you now. So let's open this one first and see. So I'm just going to grab, first of all, we have The Burnout by Sophie Kinsella. I read Can You Keep a Secret, I think it was, by Sophie Kinsella, and I absolutely loved it. And I always seem to suffer with burnout. I think it's an autistic trait. I'm very excited to dive into this one. We have 2 more books in this package. Oh, and firstly is one in which I've read and I enjoyed, again on my Kindle, and that is Done and Dusted. This is one in which I spoke about in my March wrap up, and I said if you liked Heartless by Elsie Silver, then you'd probably like this one. It's like a cowboy romance sort of environment, and yeah, it was a lot of fun to read. Very light-hearted, very steamy at points, and I did really enjoy it, and I want to reread it, hence why I bought this copy. And then we have The Lighthouse Witches, in which I've heard so many good things about. It has witchy vibes in it, so of course I'm going to pick it up. And yeah, I've just been really craving witchy, magical, spooky reads recently, so hopefully this one is good. Then we have the final package, in which it seems like it had a lot of books in. So let me just open this up. Oh, it's a package within a package. So first of all, we have, Honey and Spice. I was looking for recommendations for You Made a Fall of Death with Your Beauty, I think it's called, and this was one of the books on that list, and so I'm very much excited to read this one alongside Love in Colour, in which I realised after filming that little book haul segment beforehand that Love in Colour is actually full of short stories, so that's exciting, but I believe this is an actual novel, so yes, very intrigued about this one. Then we have Oh, Everything We Are. So I got this as a recommendation from Instagram, I think, and I don't remember who I got it from a recommendation of, but they gave just the back, in which is love is just a word that people say to get the feeling they need. I love you really means I want you to love me. And I just thought that gave sort of weird lick vibes. So very excited for this one. Then the final books we have is Autumn by Ali Smith. I've wanted to read an Ali Smith book for ages, and I feel like Autumn is the perfect pick for me because I love autumn. We also have Checkmates by Ali Hazelwood. I've read a few of her other books, but I really enjoyed chess, so I thought this one would be good for me. And then we finally have That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, similarly to a few of these other ones. Read this on Kindle, absolutely love it and want to reread it. So those are all of my books I have to share with you today. I have so many new reads in here, so many reads to reread, and yeah, I just love receiving book mail, of course, like every book lover out there. So thank you ever so much for joining me on this adventure. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you have a wonderful day or night. Until next time, bye.